Welcome back, ladies and gents. Episode number 3 of this amazing season 3, which is so exciting. I am here today with Eric Acosta. Is it Acosta? Am I saying that decently?
It goes both ways. Acosta.
Okay.
It comes from my Mexican roots.
Got you. Okay. Tell me about that real quick before I even say anything else. What part of Mexico are you from?
So, mom, dad, my mom's from Sinaloa.
Sinaloa.
Yep.
Okay.
And my dad's from the capital.
Okay.
Yeah, so I grew up with that. And it was so cool to see the difference. Living in the States, but being Mexican.
Right.
It's a cool perspective to have.
Totally. So both your parents, they came straight from Mexico to America.
Yep.
Cool, dude. That's super fun. Your whole life you spoke Spanish, I assume?
Yes, at home. When I was at home, my mom would literally say, I swear, if you don't speak Spanish at home, I will beat you.
Well, honestly, it's I wish, I wish, because being able to speak Spanish would be so beneficial, especially where we live and what you do.
Yeah,
We're with so many people who are Spanish speakers, and every day I'm like, dang, I should really learn that. I did school Spanish for
Did you take a
6
couple
years
classes?
straight.
Oh, man. Entonces, we should have this in Spanish. This podcast va a ser en español.
Yo necesito practicar mucho. I had somebody on a YouTube short yesterday comment on one of my reels, and he was on one of my shorts. And he was saying, he said, no habla inglés. And I said, gosh dang it.
They're all signs.
I know, I was like, I'm going to have to get it. I'm going to have to learn Spanish.
I can be your Spanish teacher, bro.
Dude,
and your boxing coach.
Please do. And so with that being said, everybody, Eric is my boxing coach. Well, he was, I should say. I haven't been in a long time. I've been lacking. Well, to be honest, the wallet's been lacking.
The wallet? No, you've been busy. You've been monsing.
It's true. It's true.
The podcast has been awesome, man.
Indeed.
Like, I've been able to study it a little bit and go into it. Yeah. And what you do is incredible. You and your team, like, the message, I feel like that in and of itself is what's lacking nowadays, is that light. And too many people are afraid to have that voice. And so I appreciate it, man.
Dude,
Thank you,
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I hope that we can spread the message of, like, hey, it's not the end of the world. I think we get so caught up in social media and everybody's life looks perfect on camera. Sure. So it's like, for kids that are growing up and seeing the world now, they go through one hard thing and they think the world's over because the other people they see don't go through these things. Yes. Why me? And they start to really come down on themselves. And so, thank you. I hope that's the message that we do portray. This idea of life doesn't only need to go on; it must.
It's got to continue. It's something that, and tying into the way we met boxing. Right. That's something that I've really learned. It's round after round. That we teach people to have to continue to do. Yep. And so it's cool that you and I were able to do that together. I remember how long has it been since you?
It's been, I think it's been at least a year. It's been
at least a year. And I remember you and
Hayden
would go down. You still working out. I see you still got the monster mouth.
You know how to do it.
But when we met, man, I feel like you and Hayden, you would go in with Hayden, right?
Yep. And you all know Hayden because he used to be on the show.
Yes, and both of you guys just had the energy that it was all about, growth and surpassing hardships. And just like you mentioned, we go through one hard thing and we think it's the end. Totally. But something that I always keep in mind is that 100% success rate that you have, if anything, is you've surpassed your hardest days. Right. And so that's like, you're here. We're sitting here and we're having a conversation, and no matter any hardship that you've gone through, whatever suffering you've gone through, it's all a lesson. 100%. It's for growth. It's to make you stronger. Totally.
And I love that you say that, because one of the reasons I wanted you to come on the podcast is because I noticed from the very beginning when I first met you, I'm going to get real tender with you. But from when I first met you, you were always so open, warm, welcoming, and you had the ability to recognize, like, who needs help at what point. And I remember coming in, and it was my first time boxing. And so ever. Ever. I mean, I'd be in the streets.
I'd be in the streets, Rocky 5 style.
But had no idea how to box. And so you go into a boxing gym not knowing how it's going to be, and you're kind of nervous because you're like, well, everybody else in here looks like they've been boxing, and here I come. I've never boxed before. I'm this tall, skinny, lanky dude. Like, I don't know what to do. And Eric was in the middle of coaching. You were coaching like 30 people in the middle of the session. And then me and my buddy came in, and you took the time to not only help all people at the same time, but you'd stop and come and help me and Eric make sure we were doing, or me and it was my buddy McKay at the time. McKay, now I love you, buddy. But to come and help us get acclimated to everything, do our free first aid pass, you know, and to feel welcomed. And I remember that helped a ton because I was like, dang, trying something new like boxing where you're going to go in there and have no idea what you're doing. As much as you people who, you know, you've been in these fights before, you don't know what you're doing.
It's something else. It's a whole other world.
100%. In fact, and this is embarrassing to even say out loud, when I came in, just because it felt more natural, I was standing southpaw as a right-handed person.
Okay, we get that a lot.
And so I'm like doing this, and I remember you came up and you're like, you're holding it you're doing it the wrong way. I was like, what are you talking about? I got that speed over here.
I got that. Come on.
I know. I was like, that's my strong hand. And then we switched it up, and I said, oh yeah, that's way better.
There we go.
Embarrassing to say. If maybe you guys are like, oh, what an idiot, he should have known. But
it happens more than you think, man. As a coach, honestly, it happens more than you think. One, because of the stereotypical southpaw. Right. Southpaw is so much better, you know, and it's not necessarily better. And then a lot of people sometimes just don't know the fundamentals of hip rotation and things like that. So that's why we exist, you know, that's why we exist. And the best thing is to have fun while you do it, you know, and have a vibe.
Well, and that's what I really like about Legends Boxing. Just so everybody knows, that's where he coaches as Legends Boxing.
Legends Boxing.
They are all over. They're all over, eh?
Yes, all over. Here in the States, here in Utah, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but 19, I believe, here in the States.
Oh, sweet.
There's in Texas. I think there's 3 in Texas, North Carolina. Yeah, we're growing. And it's amazing because boxing can be so intimidating. You know, going off of what you're saying, sometimes it's just a really like grungy sport. Yeah. But I've come to learn that it truly is not that grungy sport that sometimes is portrayed in the movies, which we all love those movies. You know, we all grew up watching Rocky, which is sick. Every time I have someone new, I say, have you boxed before? And they say, I've watched Rocky. Does that count? And I'm like, no. no. But it's such a sport that helps you through not just physical things, but it's very therapeutic, man. Very mental and emotional. And I don't know if that's something that you went through, but I go through that with a lot of members, that it just helps heal, not the physical, but the mind.
Totally. I was going to ask you about that. Do you feel as if most people come in for that purpose? Do they come in for like a physical workout? Because obviously it's a crazy workout. And I've never sweated more in my life than boxing. Real. I got pictures on my phone. Maybe I'll toss one up that'll pop up on the screen. But I got pics on the phone where I'm like taking a picture afterward, and I just look like I just came out of the shower. But do you feel as if, just from the people you've coached and what you've done over there, do you feel as if most people come in for that physical reward, or do they come in for the mental side?
Something that I've noticed with the majority of all of us is that, yes, although boxing, you go in and you want to learn the physical, we're all going through something that at the end of the day, what I try to teach them is to heal that through boxing. You know, an equation that I love to use with my fighters and my spars is the equation that we should always keep in mind is that we should be mentally there, emotionally strong, and then the physical will take its place in that order. And so a lot of people do come for the physical, yes, but when I get to know them, it's so much deeper, man. It's more of like, I came in here because I lost a loved one, or I came in here because I can't look at myself in the mirror anymore. Right. You know, and so, yes, but there's so much more that's rooted when it comes to boxing, which is crazy.
Right. They're there for the physical, but they're kind of driven there by the emotional side.
Or they notice what the emotional and the mental is, and they get to open that up themselves.
Right. Dang, that's wild. That's really cool. Do you feel as if, I guess, what do you think that is the most if you can possibly put this into a thought, or if you possibly have narrowed it down, but what do you think so far has been the most common issue that people are struggling with while they're there? Have you noticed like a trend, like, oh, most people go through a divorce, so they come, or anything like that?
The main two is weight loss, and a lot of divorce or breakups, and those are really tough. You know, it's like you feel like your world is turned upside down, and so when you find an anchor, like boxing or combat sports or anything, podcasting, dancing, drawing, painting, do something to anchor you. And so I feel like we go through so many hardships and daily hardships that when we can no longer really anchor ourselves with anything, it's really tough to like continue, you know. And so when they step into those doors, a lot of the reasons are those two, but I get a plethora of things. You know. Just also, I get a lot of people that are athletes and they want to come and learn as well, so
like
it's
me.
Exactly, bro. So you want to fight or you want to spar, you want to expand, and so there's a lot of sadder reasons, there's a lot of great reasons, but the majority of the times it's I want to transform my body. And a lot of and through that, we don't just focus on the body, it's through the mind. You got to convince the mind in order to change the body, and we do that. And then also loss of loved ones, where they can really let go on that bag and to express what sometimes you just can't. You can't just go out on the street and just yell, right? You got to go up to a mountaintop to be able to do that. But you can be in a boxing gym and yell internally as you're hitting that bag and just heal. And that weight just becomes less and less and less, man.
And you're taking it out on a bag and not a person.
Instead of a person. Or, dude, worse, yourself.
Right.
A lot of the times you take it out on yourself, and it's like self-sabotage or just you, or hurting yourself by hurting loved ones. Like, it's crazy.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense. So for you, what got you there? What got the Eric Acosta? Also, am I supposed to say, are you... Because Eric does boxing matches often. You just had 2 matches within the last month. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah.
How'd they go, by the way?
They went great, dude. They were back to back too. They were back to back. We went back to back. We didn't win them all,
hey, that's
but
all right.
all the fighters. At the end of the day, the win goes through the fight camp, and seeing these fighters, bro, become someone else.
Totally.
Right. And so we did. We had back to back. We had 3 fighters in one, and then we had 3 fighters in a show in Idaho. We traveled. We took the whole weekend, man, and we were just hanging, vibing.
Totally.
We did what we had to do. The crowd loved us. The name Legends is incredible because we were able to take boxing and take it out of such a dark perspective and put it into a light. Yeah, exactly. And so anybody can do it. Everybody can vibe with it. And so we went up there. We did what we had to do, and we were with some incredible people, some incredible athletes. We were with a whole team. And so just a great time. So cool. Yeah. I myself haven't fought in about a year, but we do have active fighters that are putting in the work, preparing for tournaments.
The last fight you had, was I there? Was it the one that was up in Logan?
Saltaire?
It was in Logan.
Logan. Oh, that was my second to last. Okay. And then right after that, I had another one, my last one at the Saltaire. Yes.
Oh, got you. Yeah. Got you. Cool. That was cool. That was so hype. It was so fun.
Isn't it crazy, dude? A boxing event, it's so fun. It's fascinating how, boxing is one of the oldest sports known to man, right? It's from Greek times. And so it's fascinating that from day one, humans just like to see people beat the crap out of each other. So it's fascinating. So now that we are in, more advanced times, it's an art. And if we can do that, express ourselves in a safe way, in a sports way, then it goes to show our roots. We're fighters and we're survivors, and we don't give up.
Which that's what I like a lot. And I feel as if that's one of the things, especially, like you're saying, the physical drains into the mental. And so when I was practicing, I came in and, I should say training. Practicing just seems more like a basketball thing.
It's but training, bro.
Yes,
we
train. We don't practice.
We don't.
But when I was training, I remember I'm naturally gifted at a lot of sports. Not to hype myself up, but I'm naturally very coordinated, naturally good at those things. Boxing is something that it was so new to me and different than what I expected it would be, that it challenged me in ways that most sports don't. It challenged me in ways that were really intense. And I remember having some of those moments where I'm like I said, I've never sweat this much before. I'm exhausted. I've been running. I've been throwing punches. I am dying. And it trained my mind to kind of enjoy the challenge, to kind of enjoy going through just the struggle. And so like you're saying, where it does teach you not only to become a physical fighter, but it teaches you to overcome. It teaches you to be a life fighter, a fighter of challenges, a fighter of all these things, because it's like, if I can push myself mentally and emotionally to this point, then I can do that with other challenges. I can do that with a divorce. I can do that with the loss of a loved one. I can do that with these different things. And it almost became... I always pushed myself in basketball a lot, but boxing kind of gave me a new perspective of pushing yourself. Because, like I said, I was just so used to basketball, and yes, you get tired and to the point of exhaustion 100%. But boxing, I wasn't used to that at all. And so it really took the internal just get it done.
Yes.
And you're
Training
able
that
to do it.
voice. Training that voice. Because with basketball, for example, when I grew up loving basketball, my older brother, he played ball, and I was like, always that younger bro. And I was like, I'm not as good, but I tried. I grew up dancing, which helped me with boxing. You know, everything happens for a reason. That footwork. But with basketball, it's like, here's the funny thing. With other sports, you can pass the ball.
Right.
With other sports, you got defense.
Right.
With boxing and with combat sports, it's you. Like, it's you versus you. And this is something that I've been able to just, one, learn myself, and two, teach my fighters and my spars and the members. It's not you comparing yourself to whoever's on the bag next to you. You're not even going up against the person who's trying to hit you back. You're going up against you trying to defend yourself. And the most important rule in boxing is protect yourself at all times, right? But 100%. It teaches you how to survive for you. And if you can do that for you, you can protect those who you love.
Yeah. Totally.
You know?
Totally. I was just asked the other day, and he must not have known, but I was boxing at the gym. I'm that guy at the gym with the boxing bag. That's me.
But those bags are like 50 pounds. I bet you're making that bag swell.
So this guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, are you like a pro fighter?" Ain't
Yeah, there we go.
I'm like, oh.
What'd you say?
I said, have you heard of like Canelo and stuff? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like with that group.
That's what's up, dude. Yes.
No, I'm just playing.
You're like, you ever heard of Tyson Fury?
Yeah.
I trained.
That's my brother.
That's my bro.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm just playing. I haven't boxed in a long time, but appreciate it.
But that goes to show, man, you still got the fundamentals.
Still got
Look
the fundamentals. Got the fundamentals.
Was this a stranger?
It's a stranger. Total stranger.
Come up to you.
I felt good. Boosted my ego big time.
Go,
I said, you know what?
Turn your head around once he leaves.
Exactly.
Just like really good. Wrap your hands with legend wrapping.
Exactly. Which I still have several of.
There we go.
And I did. If I'm being honest, I was wrapped up.
There we go.
Because I like being able to do the wraps. I remember it took me so long to learn how to
It takes a while, man.
It's pissing me off.
Yeah, it's all of us right there.
We avoided this on accident because we were talking about awesome, good things. But back to you. What got you started?
Oh, yes. So I actually got started with boxing due to technology.
Oh, for real?
Which is interesting because we were talking about technology before. And I just came across an ad on Instagram for a Legends Boxing Lehigh account managing job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, cool. All right, cool. And so what happened was I served a religious mission. And then I came back. When I came back, my mentality was I want to surround myself with the right people. Yeah. The people, I'm not looking for a specific job. I'm looking for the right people. And so I was like, boxing. All right, cool. I go. But here's the funny thing, man. The morning of this interview, I kid you not, the devil was trying to make me not go. And it's funny to see a hindsight now where I am and the team that I've built and that we've built and the love that we've been able to share is like, my car wouldn't start that morning. I had an interview in the morning. My car wouldn't start, whatever it was. Everything started to happen, bro. And so I go to this interview, man, and it was for an accounting job. And the owner...
Wait, accounting?
Accounting, yes.
Oh, I thought you meant like account manager, like...
No, account manager.
Instagram account.
Oh, no, like accounting.
Like accounting.
Yeah, like an accounting.
Gotcha, okay.
And so I was like, yeah, I can do that. I did a little bit of accounting, on that religious mission. So I can count. I can do this. Give me a calculator. I'm chilling. And so I go, man, and the owner, the owner, Rob Scott, he takes my interview. And he interviews me a little bit, asks me about myself, and then he literally just goes, have you ever coached anything? Or like, would you be interested in any coaching position?
Oh, no way.
And I legit just like, absolutely. Yes, sir. Like,
I've done tons of
like, what? Like, I would so be down. I haven't done much coaching, but any opportunity, like, absolutely. And so it transitioned from an accounting interview to him seeing my potential and him saying, yo, like, it's incredible to see the passion you have for what you want to do. And so he gave me that shot, and I got to know Legends through that, just through an Instagram post, bro. So, technology, rock.
That is wild.
Rock, man.
I always thought it was like this found love that you had, and it came to be just by magic. But really, it's just like it fell into place, and it fell in the right place.
Which is the craziest thing, man, because I never, ever thought I would have boxed.
Right.
Never thought I would have boxed. And a lot of people also go through the same things. There's like, man, I ask people, like, why are you taking on boxing? Yeah. And it's like, a lot of like, sometimes you have to really think about it. And I was the same way. I grew up dancing, and I always thought that I was going to grow up dancing and tour dancing and teach dancing, man. And so it was like wild to really see God's plan in my life when he gave me boxing and I was able to really put it together. Because sometimes I try to teach a lot of people and a lot of new people, I ask them, what have you done in the past? Like, if you were to come again for the first time, we never met, I'd ask you, like, what have you done in the past? I play basketball.
Right.
Hell yeah, well, check it out. If you stand in this way, if you think about it this way, and you take the basketball away from your hand and just close your fist, boom, now I can tie this into something that you've been able to do your whole life.
Totally.
And so that's really helped me out to connect with everyone or a lot of people in the sense of you tie it to something that you've done, and boxing is universal.
Right.
That's what's so cool with it.
Totally. So do you feel as if, I like that a lot, by the way, and to add to that, it is true, because when you're throwing a punch, it's not just your shoulders. It's such a pain, man, because you're trying to throw with your shoulders, and by 2 punches, you're dead. But yes, from the feet up.
Everything.
And that's what you guys taught me, and I said, dang, it's very similar, where in basketball, if I'm going to throw a pass, full court, one hand, I'm throwing a pass. Oh, it starts from the feet, through my hips.
Right? There's your dead. Now you're boxing, bro. And just let me take the basketball. I'm going to put it here. Now close your hands. Throw a pass. And you throw one, too.
100%. And I like that stuff because, and once again, just to add to the reasons I wanted you to come on, was because it just has so many, what's the word? I want to say similes, but that has to do with like words. Comparisons.
Like you can tie boxing to everything, even life.
Yes, 100%. And I feel as if that's what I like so much about it. And what I like so much about your situation is that through this random found boxing, you have now been able to help the lives of tons of people. And so for you, do you feel as if, what kind of dance did you do, by the way?
Latin folk, man. Latin folk. And then in high school, I got into hip hop.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Dang, I don't even know what Latin folk is.
Latin folk?
Well, I mean, I'm sure I have an idea of it, but...
Have you ever been to like a multicultural event?
Yes.
And then you saw them with the mariachi hats?
Gotcha.
So those types of dances.
Gotcha.
Which is a lot of footwork.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
So much footwork.
The last multicultural event I was at was this guy's family. They had a... What was it? It's the BYU powwow. It was wild. I got to dance in the Jimmy, you know.
You got to dance La Negra.
in the Indian circle, the native circle. What's that dance called?
Everyone's welcome white man dance.
Yes, and I was in the white man dance doing a little step thing.
You were the awoken white man?
I was indeed.
Yes.
I was indeed. Good people. But
I love that.
With boxing becoming this really big part of your life, do you look back and you're like, ever have moments of, oh, I wish, I would have just kept dancing? Or do you feel as if this is what is actually better for you in the long run?
Mm-hmm. God's plan, man. Something that I really, for hindsight, it's all God's plan, God's doing, and it's his way. And so if you are adaptable to life and situations, and not tie yourself or identify yourself with one thing, like, I'm not just a dancer. I'm not just a coach. I'm a human that I can expand myself to a lot of different areas.
Right.
And so I thought I was always going to grow up dancing. I really did. My mom, she is a dance instructor, and she was my dance teacher my whole life. And then I really thought that was my thing. But then I was open to boxing. Yeah. Okay, cool, And so if you're open to where God places you and directs you, and you're not just so tied into, I am this, I'm going to become this, if not, my life is over. Right. Then you get into some incredible places, and then you're a light for people. You're no longer just someone with a goal. You're someone with a purpose. Right. Changes everything.
I like that. I like that quite a lot because, in fact, I'll even say I love it because there are so many places in life where they want you to be one thing, and they want you to only be this. And one thing that comes to my mind is like a lot of employers, people who kind of get stuck in a job and they're like, crap, I've been doing accounting for 10 years now, and I've discovered I hate accounting. So what do I do now? And sometimes it can be hard to navigate that stuff, but I think with what you're saying, God wants us to succeed. He wants us to have the best, most fulfilling life that we can have, not only for ourselves, but for everybody, for the people that we affect. He wants us to have those things. And so rather than tying yourself down and saying, I have to do this, otherwise I'm going to die. In some cases, that can be good, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because it can push you 100%.
Yes.
Like Kobe,
There we go.
Kobe was, I'm going to the NBA, I'm going to be one of the best players ever. And that can benefit you, but at the same time, keeping your eyes open to God might have a different plan than what I have right now. Maybe my plan isn't to go to the NBA, which I discovered because I was...
Well, there you go, you see? But I bet you ball like him.
Yeah, I try my best. I try my best.
Yeah.
I got the J's on, they give you plus 10 jump shot. But because things like that didn't work out, I'm glad that I had that same perspective, that same view of, I can take what I've learned from playing basketball so hard, what I've learned from now I'm doing sales, what I've learned from that, and what I've learned doing podcasting, what I've learned from all these things, I can take this and then become value to somebody, to some position, to some place.
That's what I honestly think life is about. It's not about being a boxer. It's not about being a podcaster. It's not about being a basketball player. It's about learning.
Yeah.
And if you learn in every area in your life,
Yeah.
with the focus that these sports teach us,
Right.
discipline, authenticity, fundamentals, like if you take, and that's why boxing can tie into a lot of things, because that's all learning. And learning isn't here. It's not really here. And so we all aspire to be something, right? Like a basketball player, like an NBA player, or like a professional boxer.
Right.
But if we aspire to make a difference wherever we are, I promise you will end up where you're supposed to be.
Right.
But if you're so focused on just perfecting, which in this case we know in this life we're not going to perfect anything.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Although we want perfection, although we can get very close, like MJ, like Kobe Bryant, like Muhammad Ali, right? But it's just not realistic. And so if we don't focus on perfection, we focus on improvement,
Right.
then I promise you that climb isn't going to be so steep.
Totally. What would you say to people who struggle with perfectionism and they want to be perfect, and I notice and it can be a bad thing if I'm a little careless with it, but I think it's a good thing for the most part. Just to preface, I don't care a ton about what people think at all. And I toot my own horn. I go by my own ways, and
That's called happiness, bro.
100%. And obviously there's an extent, like, yes, I like to look nice, and I don't care in that sense, but for the most part, I just like to live my life. But there's a lot of people who maybe haven't found that yet, and they struggle with it. What would you say that you've seen, and from your experience, what would you say to those people to help them see, like, hey, listen, the world's doesn't want you to fail. You don't need to be perfect. What would you say to those people?
I would say to those people 1% a day. 1% a day. You don't need more than 1%. And progressive consistency speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And so we can all, in our own life, anybody who's watching this today can look 20/20 hindsight and see moments where there's been progress or moments where they've stumped. And so I say 1% a day. And if you can focus on 1% a day, guess what? In 365 days,
365%.
exactly. They're trying to be 100% every day, which guaranteed, most likely you will not be.
Totally.
And a great quote that my Coach Andrew, taught me was, if you strive to be 80% on a daily, around that range, 80, 85, daily, instead of trying to be 100%, every single day, you're going to improve a lot faster.
Totally. I like that a lot. There's a quote, and I quote him a little too much, but I just think he's got so many good quotes, and because we have his picture right here on the wall. Jordan Peterson, big fan.
Get him on this couch right here.
We indeed.
Mr. Peterson.
Pull up.
Come on.
But he always talks about setting the bar just low enough so that you actually can reach it. Because if you set the bar so high, the way I guess the way I'll break it down is, you can set the bar really, really high, but to get to that height, you have to set lower bars. And once you get to the low bar, you're like, okay, good, I can get to the next bar. And then the next one, that 1% every single day. And eventually you'll get to that big goal.
Exactly.
But people make that big goal, and that's it.
That's it. They stay there.
And it's like, bro,
yes,
you're not going to get where you want to be thinking you're going to jump from here to there. It doesn't exist. Impossible.
Dude. And going off of what you're saying, man, something that literally just sparked my mind, it's setting the bar low and the standards high.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
Discipline high, standard. It's like the bar's got to be something that is reachable. And if you make it reachable with high standards, high discipline, high fundamentals, like high inspiration, you're going to get there, you know? And so you got to keep yourself accountable. And that's where the competitiveness comes in. That's why Kobe was able to do what he does. The greats do what they do, is because they were able to get to a place in small steps to reach the greatest point.
100%.
Kobe and Michael, they didn't win champions just by stepping on the gym. They did it by throwing hundreds of millions of thousands of shots of three-pointers, of thinking, of missing hundreds of millions of thousands of shots of missing to be prepared for that moment.
100%.
And it's all preparation. Lower bar, higher standards. Key to life.
Key to life. I love that. I love that. And sometimes we just all of us. I do it. We all do it. We aren't scared enough of the failure aspect of it. Another big fan who we also have a picture of, but it's on the floor right now, David Goggins.
Goggins.
Who's going to carry him? Who's going to carry
the logs?
He always talks about, like, I'm scared to fail. That's how disciplined you have to be. Because a lot of us are like, oh, well, I didn't get done, but it's okay. And it's just like, no, it's not okay.
It's not.
Set the bar low enough, set high enough standards, and be disciplined to those standards. As in, if I want to start waking up a little bit earlier so I can be more productive, let's say I want to wake up at 6 o'clock, okay? For 3 days this week, I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock no matter what. And if I don't, I have to come up with some kind of consequence for myself, you know? So that way I actually feel bad. Because we get... the only time it seems like we discipline ourselves in that aspect is if there's fear of judgment or punishment from somebody else. Yeah. Like back in my day when I did homework once every... I never did homework.
Yeah, we can all relate. Shout out, comment down below if you can relate.
Totally. But when I would never do it, I remember the day before, all of a sudden when I click that it's actually due tomorrow.
That little...
The fear comes, and all of a sudden I can work really hard.
And the focus.
Exactly. You know? And I'm like, why couldn't I have done this a month ago when we got the assignment? Exactly. And if we could just set goals and expectations for ourselves like that, where it's like, what if there is a quote-unquote teacher that's grading your paper tomorrow? Are you going to be ready? What if there's Judgment Day?
Judgment Day, which we have no idea. It could be tomorrow.
100%. You know? What if this stuff is coming up? I want to be ready. And so when you make goals, you have to be disciplined enough to instill within yourself a little bit of fear, so that way you can actually get it done and not excuse yourself.
I love that you said, you gotta be afraid of failing. There's a quote that is interesting because it's a famous quote. I don't know who said it. Now I'm pretty sure you heard it. And I feel like it goes both ways because my mentality was very different than one of my buddies that I asked. And it's the quote that goes, "What would you do if you weren't afraid to fail?" And my perspective was, well, if I wasn't afraid to fail, I think I'd be kind of lazy. I feel like
that.
I feel like I just kind of would be complacent, which is what we're doing nowadays. I want to be afraid of failing. I want to be afraid of not being who I'm meant to be, not being what God intends me to be. And so it's like, I love that you brought that up because we got to be afraid of failing. If we're afraid of anything, it's not to live to our fullest potential. 100%. I can be afraid of anything else, like the way someone perceives me, whatever it is, but slowly and surely you'll get over those things and you'll be able to develop a confidence that will help carry you, you know, and you'll be a light, man. You'll be someone different, but it's just through those types of fundamentals, 100%. You know.
My wife doesn't vibe with me on this one, but this is where I like that perspective. Is one thing that I enjoy. I do enjoy hiking, and I enjoy difficult hikes. I don't go on hikes all the time, and I'm not like a big hiker. I wouldn't consider myself like I'm a hiker. But what I like about it is, for example, recently, I went on a hike in Zion's National Park.
Oh, beautiful park.
Oh, most beautiful. So beautiful. With my cousins and some of my brothers, and they've always pushed me. I'm the youngest brother from my mom, and then I have a younger stepbrother younger than me. But I'm the youngest brother from my mom, and so I've always been like, I got to keep up with these boys, you know. And we went on this hike. We had to stay up the night before till freaking like 4 a.m. because my brother's flight got delayed. He was flying in from Missouri. We were going to pick him up in Vegas, drive back to St. George, go on the hike. Dang. He was supposed to get there like 4 hours before, but it got delayed, and he didn't come till like 3 a.m, 3, 4 a.m. So then we drive back home, slept maybe an hour and a half.
Oh, my God.
Got up, and we're going on this like 10-mile, and it's not just a hike. It's like a navigate. There's no trail. It's just like a navigate and climb rocks type hike. I don't know why I'm forgetting the name of it right now.
It wasn't like Angel's Landing.
Not Angels, like
way
bigger.
Really?
Way bigger.
No way.
You're looking at Angel's Landing. Angel's Landing looks like a little boy down there.
Oh my God.
It's a big hike.
Okay, so now I have more of a perspective. I'm already thinking, all right, it's no way past Angel's Landing.
Right, it was a big hike. I'll get you guys I'll figure out what hike it is. I can't remember. But yes, you're looking down at Angel's Landing like, dang, that's little down there.
And you look from below and that's huge.
Yes. And so we get to the top. And I'm exhausted. I didn't have no sleep. I'm so tired. I'm like, geez, I'm dying. So we sat down. I'm like, oh, this is good. But then we look off in the distance, rain clouds start coming in. And I'm like, oh.
Shoot, bro.
And this is a place where there's flash floods, things like that. So it's like, crap, man, it rains like 2 times a year in this freaking place. It just happens to be today.
Wow.
And so we have to, with hardly any rest, we sat down for just a little bit, and then we're like, well, we better get going home, because if we get caught in the rain, we're screwed. And part of me, I love that.
There we go.
I hate
there
it.
we go.
But I loved it, because you're put in that position where, like we're saying, the fear of failure really comes in, because you're like, I have to get out of here. I can't just sit and rest. I have to get out. Mm-hmm. And Amelia's like, I hate that aspect of hiking. Totally. But I'm like, but that's what drives me, because any other time I would have sat up there for at least an hour to rest.
And done nothing.
Exactly.
Complacency.
Exactly. Wow. And then doing it, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, I can go off of an hour of sleep and do this crazy, intense, hard hike and just get it done. I can. I didn't think I physically could do that, but I can. And you discover new things about yourself, because that fear is kind of pushing you. And I get, this might have been your friend's aspect that you're saying. He said the opposite. I get his aspect, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is just what I think what I assume he was thinking. But some people will look at it like, you don't want to fear failure because failure happens.
Right, of course.
Like, okay,
and failure stops a lot of people. Like the fear of failure stops a lot of people, which I can't see both sides.
Yes. So it's like, I get that, but at the same time, I get yours a little bit more, where it's like, I'm glad that there's, in a sense, a consequence to not succeeding.
Right.
Because it pushes me to go further than what I could do if there wasn't. Because I'd just be complacent and lazy, and it would just be a bad cycle. I'd be doing homework once every year again, just like I used to.
There would be no action. And without action, faith is dead, you know? And so we got to do stuff. We got to get up, and we got to not just make goals, but take that 1% a day, and no matter how hard it's going to be hard. Like the moment, as soon as we accept that whatever we do is going to be difficult, then we'll understand that there's growth, and we'll be able to surpass it. A quote that I literally read like 2 days ago was, the teacher is always silent during the test.
I like that.
And so if we ever feel lonely, going through struggles and things like that, you know, God has gotten us to a certain point, like the top of that hike.
Right.
You are able to see the beauty, but then there's a storm coming.
Yes.
We got more work to do. Let's go back down. Let's go. And it's still a hike. It's a beautiful place. 100%. It's not like there was anything different. You're still on your path. Yes. There's a moment of rest. There's a moment of silence. And then you're going down. And then it's just like, you got to be able to push yourself and 100%. Surpass these moments, because it's not the end. 100%. It's never intended to be the end. Because if it were the end, then we wouldn't be here.
Totally.
You know?
Totally. Okay. So what I want to do real quick, I want to do a little rapid fire with you.
Freestyle.
I'm going to say quotes of things that you've told me that I remember. And so you probably don't even, like, I'm sure you'll remember the sayings because you say them, but just know that you probably didn't even think that this ever affected me. It did affect me, so I appreciate it. I remember, I'm going to say these quotes, and then what I want you to do is use that quote, tie it into a life situation, or tie it into a life like lesson that you can share with people. So first quote, one that I remember the most, especially when I'm exercising, but in a lot of things. You can do anything for 10 seconds. That's what you always say. We'd be doing in the middle of an ab workout, starting to cramp up, you're tired and you're sweaty, and you'd be like, you can do 10 more seconds. You do anything for 10 seconds.
David Goggins style.
Exactly.
10 more seconds.
Exactly. How do you apply that to life?
Man, 10 more seconds. When I took on fighting and I took on a lot of sparring, that 10-second clap helped me not get more tired, but helped me push forward. Right. And so I learned cue words in my life, or cue things in my life, like hardships, or like, you know, just the loss of someone, or going over hard finances, whatever it is. Yeah. Those tough moments are now cues of 10 seconds. And so those 10 seconds aren't intended to say, oh God, I only have 10 seconds left. So no, it's 10 seconds. All right, I got this. I know I can do this. Right. And so in order to be able to have, like, to surpass a lot of dark stuff, you got to hear that 10-second clap. Notice those 10 seconds, because you're just right at the edge. You're about to surpass it, man. Just hold on. It's like have you ever seen the little photo of the guy that's digging for the diamonds? And then he gets to the very end, and then, like, the diamonds are literally right there, and he's turning back. Yeah. Dude, that's what it is, you know? And so hardships just means you're almost there.
Totally. Push that extra 10
Push
seconds.
that extra 10 seconds.
I love it. The next one, I heard this one a lot because I'd be getting tired.
I'm like right on your ear. I'm like,
Keep your guard up.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Keep your hands up. Most important rule in boxing.
Yeah. Protect yourself at all times. And if we're tying our boxing and all these fundamentals to life, it's you got to keep your hands up. You got to keep your mind up. You got to keep your spirits up. You got to keep your head up. You know, you got to stay up because the moment that this happens, the devil smiles. You know, and there's a quote that I made a reel with a while ago, and it fit perfectly because it was one of my sparring rounds, and it was a tough sparring round. And my videographer, Soul Creative, shout out, she's amazing.
Appreciate it.
Soul Creative. It's a shot of me in the corner, and I have my head down, and I have Coach Tori right next to me, just like putting my shoulders. And the quote goes, it says, "The devil saw me with my head down until I said amen." And then my head comes up and the round starts. And I was like, yeah, you know, and so you got to keep your head up. You got to make sure that you don't put yourself down. And a lot of it comes from self-sabotage, man. Right. Like self-sabotage is crazy and it's hard. It is, but we sometimes are our biggest enemies, you know?
Totally. A lot of the time. Last one I want to bring up is, it just slipped my mind. Oh, your most important punch in boxing is what?
The jab. Yes, the jab, especially yours, man, because you're long.
That's true. It is very beneficial.
Right, it's very long. Yes, if we were to stand up and just compare, very different. But the most important punch in all of boxing, all of combat sports, is your jab.
Right.
Is your jab. It's because it's the one that's right in front of you. It just protects you. It's right there. So use it. Yes. Use the most important tool you have in your arsenal. And again, applying it to everything else, use your heart. Use your God, use your people, use your loved ones, use your mind and nurture it, you know, but just the jab is the number one tool in all of boxing, bro.
100%. Yeah. I love that. Those things, to this day, I still remember all of that stuff.
That means so much, man. That means a lot. It really does.
It means a lot to me, man. Thank you. And in fact, I was going to tell you this at the beginning, and then we'll have to wrap things up, absolutely. But freaking Legends Boxing, man. So I ended up stopped going because at the time, and if you go back and listen to the first episode of this season, if you listen to the whole thing, I talk about what happened with, I lost the job and was jobless for like 6 months. It was wild, and I lost a ton of money. So during that time, I couldn't even, I was like, crap. So what I did, I was like fine at the time, but I was like, let me put my my monthly payment, let me put it on pause. Right. So I called, I forget his name, the guy that was in the office.
Ben?
Yes. Yeah. I called Ben. Hey, can I put my account on pause for the time being? And I thought it just paused forever until I wanted to come back. Shoot. And it paused for 3 months. Yeah. And then as time was going on, I remember I was talking with Amelia, and I was like, dang, man, I miss boxing. And I was pulling up my bank account, and I'm like looking at transactions, and all of a sudden I see Legends Boxing. I'm like, hey, whoa.
Wait, I still remember?
Yeah, I paused this months ago. So I start scrolling through. So I paid for like 6 months.
No, bro.
Never even went. And I called Ben. I said, Ben, please let me get it back. He said, I'm sorry, Ben. I was like, dang it.
No.
I can't even blame him, man. It's my fault. I should have thought about it. Anywho, so that's what happened.
Dang, man.
But I always think about going back because it's just so fun. It's just such a good exercise. And those of you listening, if you want a place to go to get not only a great exercise, but a fun exercise, one that's actually, you know, it's a little bit more, I don't know, maybe you ladies really like your Zumba classes and stuff, but even ladies, I just think that boxing is such a fun workout. And, I mean, you have a ton of women that go.
Absolutely.
A ton of women
so empowering. It just helps them. Just, you know, self-defense or to feel good or to exercise in a different way.
Totally.
And boxing's not a man's sport.
Totally. Because Amelia, and you can pitch her if you want her to come, but she doesn't like going like to the gym with me if I'm doing my gym things, like I'm lifting and that kind of stuff. She's not as big into that. She likes to do like a Pilates type stuff, those kinds of things that require a little bit more of movement and things. And so I was like, you should honestly try boxing sometimes because I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
it's fun.
If you want someone, we'll pull Amelia up.
There we go.
We actually have one. There's one down the street from here. I'm sure you know. It's not too far away. I forget who. I remember I met one of the coaches that was at that one. Anyway, nonetheless. But Coach Eric, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, sharing some amazing lessons. Once again, everybody, Coach Eric, Legends Boxing. My man.
Bro.
Appreciate you.
My man. Thank you.
And I'm sorry. I almost left
the fist bump, bro. I'm a boxer. Come on.
It's true. I was ready for it. But everybody, as you know, tune into the next week's episode. Tune into last week's. Thank you for tuning in this week. Have a wonderful day. Life must go on.
Bruh.
Good work, my boy.
Oh, that was awesome, man.
Perfect. That was perfect.